Good morning. Today I'm going to show you how to do Zentangles. In your notebooks, I would like you to set up some squares that are 12 by 12. In other words, they are 12 squares down and 12 squares across. Once you've done that, you're ready to start. The first design that I'm going to show you is quite simple. It starts out with basic circles that you place every 2 boxes. It is important for these circles to be as big as you see them. You don't want to put tiny little dots because these will become essential to the design. Now, one thing that I always like to do is to make my designs look like they are continuing off the edges of my square here. So I like to go right here on the edge of my line and put these half dots or circles. The next thing that you are going to do is to make a line in the shape of an S. And over here on the edge, I want you to just make this kind of a line right here. Notice how my line crosses the center, and I'm talking about that center over there. And then here I just make this much of my line because obviously it's only that much that you can see. And then I just turn my paper around and I do exactly the same thing that I have done before. So notice that when I am making my design, I try to make one step at a time. So I started out with my circles, then I moved to the line, and then I turned my paper around and I did exactly the same thing again. So this can be the base for a number of different designs, so you can definitely add more details, like you can add three-dimensional value. Another thing that you can do is shade, but not that way. I am not sure why it is that this keeps happening to me. Whenever I want to shade, the whole entire thing is filling up. Let me see if maybe I can. Oh, there you go. I fixed it. Okay, great. I haven't used my Procreate app in a while, and sometimes when you don't use something, you forget how to use it. So notice that, by shading every other one, you get a different result. But for now, just leave it alone like it is right now, and move on to the next design. So for this next design, we're gonna start out with a 3x3 type of grid. So in other words, I want you to draw lines every 3 squares. You can draw them freehand or you can use a ruler. I have the benefit of having this app that is straightening up my lines. Let's see if it's gonna straighten up my squares. Yeah, it does. So inside here, I want you to make a square. Now, another way to do this, you could make the whole square like this, or you can make all of the horizontal lines like I am doing right now. And then do all of your vertical lines. A trick of the trade is to try to keep your hand from getting tired by doing the same kind of line instead of changing directions all the time. Your hand does not get tired, and your lines are actually a little bit more consistent in that case. So once you have this square done, I want you to add a diagonal line like this. Then I wanted to add another one over here. And then I like to be able to do the same thing, so I turn my paper to repeat the same kind of movement. Now over here you could actually go across the whole way like that to make it a little bit easier and a little bit faster for yourselves. And then again, shading plays an important role in making these designs look a little bit more interesting, or a lot more interesting. And I suggest that when you are shading, you are using different values. So if this is going to be my darkest value to shade in, maybe the next one is going to be something a little bit lighter. And this is going to give you a very nice three-dimensional look to your design. And then the next one is going to be even lighter. This could work really nice with different colors if you wanted to play around with colors. And then the next one, let's make it even lighter. And we'll keep the square in the middle, we'll keep it white. There. Okay, moving on to the next one. I'm going to change my color back to black. So this next design is again quite simple. We're going to start out with making the horizontal lines to a square that we're going to be drawing. So just to give you a heads up, that's the square. But like I said, I like to do all of my horizontal lines first. That way my lines are consistent. And my hand doesn't get tired. A lot of times the inconsistency comes basically from the fact that your hand is getting tired. It could also be from a lack of practice. That's why we like to practice as much as possible when we're making art, because we want to have that muscle memory built into our system. So hopefully you are drawing along with me and not just watching, because if you're just watching, you will probably be bored out of your mind. These videos are not designed to entertain anyone. They're supposed to be straight up instructional videos. There. So now I can turn my paper around and do my lines again. And because I'm doing them in a horizontal fashion, I already have that built-in muscle memory. So one thing that I like to tell my students all the time is this is the kind of designs that you don't want to get distracted, because before you realize it, you're going to make mistakes. And believe me, I've made plenty of mistakes. Even though I am so familiar with making these kinds of designs, sometimes even talking as I am demonstrating can be a distraction. So try to be as focused as possible and think ahead where you are drawing your lines. There. So now the next line that you're going to make is a diagonal line. And I like to tilt my paper a little bit. I know it might look a little bit weird on your screen, but it is a whole lot more comfortable when you are able to draw without any discomfort. So don't be afraid to turn your paper too. There. So now you turn your paper again, and guess what? You repeat exactly the same line. Now, I don't know if you guys are noticing what design we're making over here, but this is what I like to call the ninja star design. And notice how interesting it is when you can just turn around a couple of lines, and by repeating them you get such an interesting design that may look quite complex otherwise. So this again can be shaded, where you have every other one shaded. In a checkerboard fashion like this. You just have to be a little bit careful not to shade in the wrong spot. That tends to happen when you lose focus and you forget where you're at in your design. And believe me, I've done it so many times. So don't forget these little tiny spaces over here. And there's your ninja star design. Okay, so let's see what would be another design we could do over here. So let's start again with a 3x3 type of design. We'll set it up. And then we'll just make a diagonal line this way. Of course, you could go across the whole entire thing like this, especially if you have like a ruler. You could definitely do that. And then let's do another cross this way. So I just want to show you some very simple designs, and then tomorrow we can do something a little bit more complex. So this one, again, we want to shade because it's all about shading with this particular one. The drastic changes to the design happen when you shade. Okay, and then let's see another. Oh, look at this, how beautiful. The app has actually given me the history. You know what? I'll do this on this other side. I think I like it more on this side. Okay, now let's pick this one and put it underneath. And then we'll pick the lightest one, just because I kind of want to get rid of the squares there. I just want a little bit more high contrast. Now on your paper you can just leave those blank, but because I have a darker version of the composition book, or rather a darker version of picture of the composition book. So there you go. Here are 4 designs that I would like you to recreate in your composition books, and tomorrow we'll move on to another set. Thank you for watching.